All right. It's time for that midday coffee. Oh, yeah. This is COFOH Live Undead. I am your host, Daniel Crosier, and I am joined by the amazing Ellie Church. Oh, yeah!
You write something on my face.
Ellie, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
How's everything in your neck of the woods?
It's doing. Everything's great. Weather's perfect. Loving it.
Good. Nice. Yeah, right out of the gate, just wanted to talk about how you got into acting in horror movies. What was that like?
I feel like I've told this 1,000 times, and I'm gonna tell it again because it's the truth. So, yeah, I grew up watching horror movies. My dad was a huge fan, and we rented movies every week, and they'd rent like five or whatever, and then over the weekend we'd sit and watch them and all that. So, I was always around them growing up. Uh, and I married my husband, Brian Williams, and he was grew up like really into trauma films, and so I hadn't really seen a lot of them growing up because my parents were kind of like, you can watch Freddy and Chucky, but you can't watch the Toxic Avenger sort of thing.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
I guess content was, like
Right.
boobs are bad, blood is fine, sort of thing, like how a lot of America is.
Right.
Right, but like we went to, I think it was Gen Con in Indianapolis, and met Lloyd there, and we talked about doing the booth there, so started doing that on a pretty regular basis, and after a few times, Lloyd was like, "Hey, you should try to act, like and I never even thought about it because I lived in Indiana and I didn't know that they ever did anything like that there ever. So I met some filmmakers through him and just like kind of walking around and looking at films, maybe going watching a couple here and there at the festivals and conventions. We bought some movies and basically just started messaging the filmmakers like, hey, I really like this. I'm trying to act. And also, and then we would talk and everything. And Lloyd would introduce me to the people that he knew as well, and lie and say that I was in a bunch of trauma movies, and I wasn't. And of course, I would be like, okay,
Yeah. That sounds like Lloyd.
yeah, totally. And so I got some auditions that way. Some of my first
Cool.
things I got through him, like just like introducing me to people at conventions and like auditioning in a hotel room and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's pretty cool. That's got to be a lot of fun. Uh, you know, entering that world. Uh, I'm sure you've got to be pretty cautious and everything too.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, the earlier today, I mentioned that I was watching Harvest Lake again, which I think is a fantastic. I mean, it's a great dramatic piece. It's also got wonderful humor in there, and it kind of reminds me of like some of the the Elder Gods, with kind of Cthulhu-esque themes playing throughout it too. Can you talk about what that process was like? Getting in, participating in that film.
That movie was one of the easiest things I've ever done because,
Yeah.
excuse me, I was working with Scott and Brian already on the things that they were kind of working with, and I did Headless with Scott's team, and then they worked on a movie called The Legend of Wasco that they did for Redbox, which tells you how old that one is. And then, and then,
Right.
then they decided to start working together and making movies together, and they just they pretty much pulled like all my favorite people to work with together,
Yeah.
where we just kind of stayed at a cabin together, and it was just I felt like it was a very natural, organized. I don't know. It was just like the easiest, most fun, like chill thing
Yeah.
ever. And the script I felt like was great. The cinematography and everything was very artistic. I was super into what it was about. Like, yeah, I love that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. The performances
Super
are
fun.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah. The performances are absolutely amazing in that. Yeah. You guys, it seemed like you guys have been friends, forever on that film. It just felt so natural.
Yeah, and I had worked with Tristan, I think when I did that only once before, but we really got along and I really liked Tristan.
Cool.
And Jason Crow is somebody that we'd known for a little bit,
Mhm.
and I feel I've always felt very natural with him. We just kind of have like a teasing back and forth thing going on, and like a brother sister sort of, you know, punch to the gut sort of thing going on that
Yeah.
I really enjoy.
Yeah, you got a number of fans already popping up on here. So Amy, chimed in and said, "We
Hey,
love
Amy,
Ellie."
I love you, Amy. A memory came up today of her uh, reciting the Headless lines along with the movie. It just today, so I was like, "Hey, Amy."
Sweet. And then Midnight Film Company. So do we. So yeah, you've got
That's
a lot
Kyle. Hi, Kyle.
of nice. That's cool. The yeah, I was also watching earlier this week. Just getting ready. To chat with you a little bit more. I was watching your anthology. Was it Skeletons in the Closet? I thought that was
Hmm.
so hilarious. You and your dead partner, yeah, just sitting there talking about the shows and stuff and doing your promotionals. I thought that was so much fun.
Yeah, that was a really fun one to do. Tony, the director, is really fun to work with too. Fun in the way that like he just is a good director. He's really fun to work with.
Yeah. That's that's very neat. Yeah, with that one, was that yeah, was that one where a number of different filmmakers, kind of added to the vision of it, or was it all the same crew? Because there's so much, just slight stylistic, changes, but so many,
Yeah,
wonderful, fun stories, and the little girl too, in there that was like
she was
really,
great.
yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah, that I feel like that anthology was a lot of the people that just kind of that team had worked with and known, and they had made those shorts and really just needed a wraparound. That's all they needed to make it into a
Okay.
movie. And the wraparound was so much fun. It was so stylized and like I just thought it looked so cool too.
Yeah, it really was. It was really fun, really entertaining. Yeah, I loved all the short stories. Yeah, especially the beginning with the little girl that goes, rabbit against grandma because grandma's a douche. And
She
yeah,
is.
yeah, really. And then the introduction with the little girl and the babysitter was fun. And then having you pop in there, it's like, wow, this is great. There's all these different like viewpoints and bookends and segues that really wrapped it around. um I would hope that you guys would follow that up with a sequel at some point, because to me it seems like it should be a continuation of anthologies.
Yeah, that would be super fun. I would definitely go in for that if they wanted
Yeah.
to do it. And Adam, who plays my dead husband Charlie, is so good, like really really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I really liked his mask. It had that kind of that natural, old Halloween mask that you would see somebody wearing in the 1970s. And
Oh,
kind
for
of
sure.
yeah, and then the humor that went with it, just kind of little bit of like that those dad jokes. It's like, oh,
Oh yeah.
somebody my age can really definitely appreciate. But yeah, with that, I don't know if you ever thought about like doing something more of like on the hosting of like doing your own regional show or something like that, and also hosting, introducing like horror movies, of and introducing that level of curation. I know it was a role, but it just felt so natural, to see you, as like the basically the Elvira type.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would ever like, just start doing that on my own, but yeah, I would definitely entertain that because I think that's super fun. And yeah, like we had Sammy Terry where I grew up, and I always loved
Cool.
that. And yeah, I don't know, like if it were brought up in it, and if it was something that I felt like I could do, sure, yeah, I would absolutely want to do that. I
No,
recently just like want to do a lot more character work too, just because I think it's more challenging, it's more interesting, it's more fun. Like
yeah,
I like I would like to be a more ridiculous version of, you know, myself.
yeah,
I think I got a little bit of that when I did Amazon Hotbox.
right,
And I'd like to do, more comedic things because I love horror comedy. It's kind of one of my favorite things. Dead
yeah,
Alive is one of my favorite horror movies. Um, yeah, just
yeah.
a little bit more ridiculousness would be super nice.
Yeah, that's yeah. I think that's one thing that I really like about your work overall is you're always injecting humor. Yeah, I think the only thing that was like I felt was a little bit more kind of staunch was seeing you, and stoic I should say, was seeing you in like Johnny Z, when you I think your character kind of pops in a little bit later in the movie. And it's just of course it's very dystopian film, so everybody's like got to be stoic and stern, and it was really such a cool little take on the zombie film and dystopia in general.
Yeah, that's a fun one. And if you haven't seen The Bad Man is probably the most serious thing I've ever done. It's, in my opinion, the best thing I've ever done. It definitely uh, was a challenge in itself, just on
Cool.
how absolutely like grim the whole thing was. That one, if anybody asks me like, hey, what do you think your best role is? And, as far as I'm concerned, like if somebody wants to see uh, the better parts of my acting, I feel like The Bad Man is definitely number one in
Definitely
my book.
nice.
Yeah.
That's one I haven't checked out yet, so I will go back and see if I can view that. And Amy just popped up, and speaking of Batman, we just finished Batman. Where was that movie shot? Such a great, intense movie. You and Jason were amazing in that. Thank you, Amy.
That movie was filmed, the two-thirds of it, the beginning part of it was filmed in the William Peters or William
Okay.
Peter mansion in Michigan. And I can't, it's a
Ooh.
small town. Damn it, I have a friend that's from there.
Okay.
It's a small town. I believe it's in northern Michigan, but if you look up the William Peter Mansion, two-thirds of
Okay.
that film was shot there. It's supposedly haunted as all get out. A couple people had a little bit of experience in there, which I didn't, but I was scared shitless the entire time that we were like, especially when I went to bed at night by myself, because I got like, I was the only girl in the entire house. Everybody else was male. So I got like the master bedroom, and it was this humongous bedroom on the first floor, and it was just like quiet and dark, and I don't know, it creeped me out at night. It's like laying in bed like. But yeah, that mansion is very cool. I mean, there's so many rooms in that place, and it just added to, like, I guess, production value. Just like so many different places you can be there.
Right. Wow, that's cool. Yeah,
and it was freezing cold. We did it in January, so it was northern Michigan in January.
Ooh, yeah, man, that's freezing. Intense. That's got to be like negative, temperatures, -0 or so.
I mean, the inside obviously was fine, but anytime we'd step outside for anything, it was like, holy shit.
Right. You got to really bundle up. You're based in the South right now, so that's got to be a bit of a shock.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it so much. I really, really hate the cold. So this is much. I mean, even the winter in Georgia now, like when the winter happens in Georgia, I'm just like, can we get this over with? Like, it's still not warm enough for me.
Right. Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to check out the Bad Man. That sounds absolutely amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that one is about for those in our audience and for me who aren't as familiar?
It is about a couple who inherits this bed and breakfast. My aunt has just passed away and left me this place, and we're kind of just getting things set up and ready for guests and all that. And then our first guest shows up, and it's his name is Lawrence, and he's turns out he is a human trafficker, and he takes us captive, and then proceeds to train us to be human slaves. And then, I mean, I don't want to ruin it for everyone, but he's training us for a purpose. Basically trying to take away all of our humanity, and it is, it's awful. And if you love a grim, intense movie, that's for you.
Oh man, that does sound pretty intense. Yeah, wow. Recently too, it was just announced that you were cast in the OnlyFans. Horror movie. It sounds like it's going to be a horror comedy too.
Yes.
And for those...
Sorry, I know we have a delay.
No, I know we got a time delay.
Yes. They did a movie previous to this called Murder Size, and it is pretty funny. And I saw it on, I forget what, I think it might have been Tubi.
Too.
Yeah, and it's pretty funny. And so it's along the same horror comedy vein. It's very silly. I feel like my character is exactly what I want. It's not a huge character, but it is going to be really, really fun, and I'm going to have fun with it. And I'm already just like thinking of different, stupid shit I can do.
That sounds awesome. But the horror comedies, Murder Size was hilarious. Watching Kansas Bowling, just go nuts in that film and eviscerate all of her compatriots. And then OnlyFans seems to have an even bigger cast too. So that's got to be kind of fun to be part of such a big ensemble.
Yeah, and I haven't worked with Kansas before, or Drew, or anyone else really, except for I have worked with Jessa, who is in Space Babes at the end, and I've just known Jess for a while. We've just hung out, and so it'd be nice to work with her together and meet all these other people. Like I've not really done. I've been to California for a project, but I've never worked with a crew that is in California.
Okay.
So these are all new people for me, and I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome. That's gonna be really exciting. To do something like that. for a lot of your roles, is there like a method that you go to prepare, or is it just so many different types of roles that you've embodied? Is each one just has to be, you got to approach it differently?
I think and things have changed over the years. Whenever I first started, the very first thing I did was in 2011, and really it was just like green screen work, and it was just like for me to be able to get in front of a camera. So that was just like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I have no fucking clue what I'm doing.
Right.
And then I guess it just evolves, and I think it is kind of, and then there was a point where I'm like, okay, these are my lines. This is what I do. I just need to know them. And I feel like I'm kind of at a point now where I want to be a lot more creative with it and, work with people who allow me to kind of like figure out my character
Okay.
and do it the way that I would like to do it, with their permission. I always ask, like, hey, can I do this? Can I do that? But I was kind of afraid to do that in the past. Like,
Hmm.
I was like, oh, well, this is the script. This is what they want me to do.
Right.
And I've only worked with a few directors that have been like, well, I need you to do it this way, and then, very specific. But
Yeah.
I really am enjoying, especially like in a comedic role, just kind of coming up with, my own ways to do it, my own things to do, and just like making my character who I want it to be what I feel like is going to be funny. And I like
Yeah.
that kind of freedom.
Yeah. Nice. It sounds like you're really, very appreciative of like collaboration. Having directors and cast, giving you feedback and you giving them feedback.
Right. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't used to be it that way. I was always
Right.
very by the script. And, I just kind of feel like I want to move away from that a little bit,
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's fun. It's more fun. And I think it makes it better.
Yeah. Most definitely. Yeah. And sometimes the best ideas don't really come until you're rehearsing or you're on set, interacting, for real.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and and I don't know any of the people in this movie either. So I don't know how I'm going to interact with them. If I was
Yeah.
doing another movie with Jason Crow,
Right.
which I've done like a bazillion movies with, I would know how
Yeah.
we interact. So it's gonna be a different when I get there too.
Nice. When working on so many of these, independent, films, obviously, budgets are tight and everything like that. Yeah. So, do you, as like, one of the actors, are you able to afford yourself enough time, to rehearse and like gather other actors, or is that just, not always a thing?
I like to. I mean, I think if somebody said, "Hey, I've got a role for you and it's in 2 weeks," I would be like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Unless it's just something super easy. But like, yeah, I definitely
Right.
want to have time to figure my shit out. And
Right.
if I
Right.
can work with other actors, that's definitely a positive. Um,
Yeah.
Typically they're across the country or, somewhere else. Um, but yeah, rehearsal's always great. Like, um, to be able to play with it's great.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, but
Nice.
you don't always get to do that.
Right. Yeah. 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 After OnlyFans, or I'm sorry, not OnlyFans, OnlyFangs. God, that's such a butcher. Sorry about that. Um,
It's close.
but yeah, after OnlyFans, what else is on the horizon for you? Yeah, in terms of more roles.
Sure. I'm on the lookout. I've talked to a couple of people. It's nothing solid. OnlyFans is the only thing I have that's super solid right now. Like I know that's
Okay.
happening. But I've talked to a couple of other people. I've read some scripts. I'm
Nice.
always open to read more. I would really like, to be sent more. So, yeah, it's my only solid thing this year. I've got some things on the table. Obviously, can't talk about them. Don't know,
Yep.
if they're 100% yet. But yeah, I would love to do uh, at least a couple of features this year. I think my goal is three because I feel like that was always kind of like what I did in the past because I did take kind of a break for a while, and I I'd say 2 to 3 is what I liked to do before that, and I think that's kind of my number still. Like it's a solid amount of time between things, and it's I don't know. I think that kind of like fills up my need for whatever I need to do.
Nice. Yeah. With kind of your natural demeanor on screen, do you ever consider, and this might be out of left field, you ever consider like directing?
I have considered it before, but honestly, it's a lot. I mean, my husband does it, so I've seen it quite a bit. And indie directing is not just directing;
Right.
it's kind of everything. So and he like does the score, and he does like subtitles and whatever you can think of. So
Right.
unless I want to hire people out to do all that stuff, I am not as talented in that way to be able to do all of those things. And I feel like that's a huge undertaking. I don't know. As of right now, no. I've thought about it, but I haven't thought about it for that long.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Well, very cool. Well, for everybody that's watching right now, we do have the OnlyFans Indiegogo that's scrolling down below, and the link is also at the top of the comment section. So if you want to go and support independent filmmakers doing really cool art and making all the fun entertainment that you guys love, go and contribute and participate in the creative process there. Ellie, I wanted to thank you for being so generous with your time and speaking with us out here in Colorado.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed myself.
Good. Wow, Amy's got a few more comments coming through. Speaking of her humor, she was excellent in the impersonators.
Oh, that's a deep cut. That's going way back. That was a really fun one to make. I worked with a bunch of comedians on that, and it was just nonstop laugh fest. It was really fun.
Yeah,
that's
another one. I'm sorry. That's
that's okay. I think that was like we keep interrupting. I think it was like 2013, maybe 14. I don't remember the year, but yeah, it was a while back.
Right. So just a couple of years ago. No big deal.
Sure.
Yeah. Nice. I'll have to go dig that one up then and give that a try. I love your presence on screen and your comedic timing. It's always very very bright and engaging. And again, Harvest Lake. Yeah, absolutely love that one. Yeah, it seems like a nice familial atmosphere. In the most darkest of sense, right? Because it's still got those nice horror elements.
Yeah, I love it. And like the effects on that were so great and fun. Like they're just super weird. I mean, it's a super weird movie. I loved it so much. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, the creature effects remind me of like not a Danny Elfman, but a Richard Elfman movie like Forbidden Zone or something like that. Just kind of like really handmade, kind of puppetry. It's like, oh, this is
sort of pulsating stuff. Yeah.
Yes, kind of. Yeah, so cool. Ellie, thanks so much. We're about out of time, and just wanted to say, absolutely love your work. Hopefully, we can have you out at Colorado Festival of Horror at some point here, and for everybody that tuned in, make sure to go support independent filmmakers doing amazing things. The Indiegogo is in the comment section, so you can go to that link there, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and Ellie, if you just stick around for a minute while we sign off, and just want to give a shout out to all our sponsors, to Mutiny Information Cafe. If you're going to start a revolution, make sure you're caffeinated. And to our friends at Hellfire Entertainment, thanks for rebroadcasting us on your social media. To Groovy TV, and of course to Angela Joseph Productions, and to my producers, Stephen Santa Cruz and Amanda Armstrong. Thanks for putting up with my shit. And to everybody out there, thanks so much, guys. Ellie, thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing with us, your talent and all your creative process. And everybody out there, have a good night. Take care, be good, be kind, help each other out during tough times, and stay spooky, everybody. Whoa.